I want you to picture a specific date right now. It is February 2026.
Okay, yeah, setting the scene.
We are deep into the AI revolution, and the global population has just ticked past 8.44 billion people. The noise level is, it's absolutely deafening.
Yeah, it's the era of compression, really. Everything is faster and louder and just tighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You open your phone, and it's a billion notifications fighting for your attention. You try to work, and there's algorithm doing it faster. It feels like the walls were closing in, does it?
The margin for error just feels like it has completely vanished for most people.
Right. And in the middle of this digital storm, most people are drowning. But then you look over at this one specific guy, and he is perfectly calm.
Operating on a completely different frequency.
He isn't just surviving either. He is operating at a level of efficiency that frankly doesn't make logical sense. He sends one email and he solves a massive problem. He touches a patient and they heal. While you are pushing a boulder up a hill, sweating and grinding, he seems to be levitating up it.
And that triggers the question we all ask ourselves at 3 in the morning, right? Is the universe rigged?
Yes. You think, does he have a cheat code, or is there some cosmic ledger where I am just perpetually in the red? It feels deeply personal.
It's a very universal feeling. But we found a source for our deep dive today, a really unusual source, actually, who says that feeling of struggle isn't a moral failing. It isn't bad luck at all.
So what is it?
He says it is simply a data error.
A data error. That is a very clinical way to put it.
He calls it a gap in knowledge. And the man saying this is, well, he is a living paradox. We are doing a deep dive today into the world of Osman, better known to his followers as the blind Muslim yogi.
The blind Muslim yogi. I mean, that is a title that does a lot of heavy lifting.
Oh.
It sounds like the setup to a riddle.
It really does. But
Yeah.
to understand the cheat code for surviving 2026, we have to understand him. This is a man who is a master bioenergy healer. He has 50 years of rigorous practice under his belt.
50 years.
Yes. And he hit his first samadhi, which, for those who don't know, is the absolute peak state of spiritual absorption in the yogic tradition. He hit that at just 19 years old.
19. I think I was trying to figure out how to do my own laundry at 19.
I mean, most of us were. But here is the hook. Usually when you find a guy with this resume, right, someone who deeply studies Swami Sivananda and Paramahansa Yogananda, he is sitting in a cave in the Himalayas. He has completely renounced the world.
Right. You expect him to be totally off the grid.
But Osman is different. He is obsessed with the algorithm. He is obsessed with LinkedIn. He is actively analyzing how AI is reshaping humanity.
So we're looking at a 50-year veteran of ancient spirituality who is also trying to hack the modern internet.
Precisely. And our mission today is to take his philosophy, which blends quantum physics and ancient mysticism, and honestly some very hard-nosed business strategy, and figure out how we can apply it.
We're going to look at his concept of sharpening the sword and his digital circle of 5, and why he firmly believes that in the year 2026, mediocrity is essentially a death sentence.
So let's jump right into the core philosophy here. The basic premise is that struggle is just a gap in knowledge.
Right. Osman's perspective on this is brutally pragmatic.
Yeah.
He says, look, if you are struggling with life's daily challenges, whether that is your health or your finances or just trying to find peace of mind, it doesn't mean the world is against you.
It just means there's something you don't know yet.
Exactly. Something you don't know yet that would immediately take you out of that struggle. He uses this great comparison. He says, look at the disparity in results out there. You have people working physically hard, breaking their backs for very little return.
And then you have people who just seem to glide. They send one email and generate $56,000.
Right. And it is so easy to look at that and get bitter, to say, oh, the system is completely rigged.
But Osman says no. That person simply knows something you don't. They have leveraged knowledge. It completely shifts you from a victim mindset to a researcher mindset.
Turn your problem into a study project. I love that framing.
If you are failing, you don't need pity. You need a study project.
And Osman absolutely walks the walk here. I mean, the guy has been teaching yoga and meditation for 46 years. He's been practicing for 50. You would think he would be done learning by now.
Like you hit master level, you get the badge, and you retire to the ashram.
But he explicitly states that he is still researching every single day. He actually mentioned that literally yesterday, relative to when he compiled this information, he found out something entirely new.
That is the definition of true mastery.
Yeah.
It is the realization that the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. He calls it sharpening the sword.
Because it isn't enough to just have the sword.
Right. It has to be razor sharp every single day. And he actually has some incredible data points to back this up.
Oh, I love a good data point, especially from a mystic. Lay it on me.
So let's talk about his energy healing work. Now, remember, he specializes in critical care. This isn't just a relax and feel good spa treatment.
Right, this is deep, heavy lifting. Recovery from terminal illnesses and serious trauma.
Exactly. He says that 3 years ago, a specific healing task for a patient took him about 4.5 hours of continuous, intense focus.
4.5 hours? That is a marathon. That sounds exhausting just to think about.
It is, but he kept refining. He kept increasing his own energy levels and refining his technique through relentless research. And he says that about a month ago, he performed that exact same healing task.
Okay. How long did it take this time?
4 minutes.
Whoa, wait. From 4.5 hours down to 4 minutes.
That is the power of efficiency gained through deep, rigorous practice. It is a massive jump in productivity. It is basically the difference between dial-up internet and fiber optic. The data transfer is the exact same, but the resistance is completely gone.
That brings me to a term he uses that I want to unpack because it is fascinating. He mentions that his premium service involves telepathic healing using quantum entanglement principles.
He does.
In my brain, quantum entanglement is hard physics. It's Einstein. It's spooky action at a distance right. It involves subatomic particles in a sterile lab. When a healer uses those words, I will be honest, my initial reaction is a bit skeptical.
That is a completely healthy reaction. And honestly, Osman welcomes that skepticism. He explicitly wants to move away from the fluff. He calls his approach a purely scientific approach. He is looking for result-based methodologies.
So how does he bridge that gap? How do we get from subatomic particles in a lab to actually healing a person?
Let's do a quick visualization. In physics, if two particles are entangled, they share a state. If you spin one particle here, the other particle spins over there instantly. Distance doesn't matter at all. It could be across the room or across the entire galaxy.
Right, faster than light communication.
Exactly. Now, Osman's premise, and this is a concept you actually find in the works of pioneers like Deepak Chopra or even in the detailed studies of Gopi Krishna regarding Kundalini energy, is that consciousness and biological energy fields operate on very similar principles.
So he argues that after 50 years of training, he has learned to entangle his energy signature with a patient's signature.
Yes, think of it like a cloud sync. If you update a file on your phone, it instantly updates on your laptop. They aren't physically touching, but they are connected by a shared protocol.
So he isn't sending a radio wave through the air, he is connecting the two systems directly.
Right. Osman is saying that through deep, rigorous focus, he can create that sync. And because his internal energy is so high from his practice, his healthy system essentially overwrites the errors or the illness in the patient's system.
And this isn't just sending good vibes or positive thoughts.
No, not at all. That metric of 4.5 hours down to 4 minutes is the tangible result of the entanglement becoming efficient. He's no longer fighting the distance or the resistance.
But I really want to pause here because I don't want listeners to think this just happens overnight. In 2026, we are so conditioned to expect instant downloads and instant answers.
Osman's timeline for success is incredibly humbling. It is a massive reality check.
He actually lists out his goals and how long they took. One major goal took him 11 years to achieve. Another big one took 6 years. Another took 17 years.
17 years for one goal.
And here is a really big one. He mentions that learning to properly control and develop his Kundalini energy took him 40 years.
40 years. I mean, most people quit a new habit after 40 days.
Or 40 minutes. But this is the mindset required for a master level. He says failure is not an end point. It's just a stepping stone. His personal mantra is terrifyingly simple, actually. He says, either I am going to achieve it or I am going to die trying.
Die trying, that is intense. But it completely explains why he gets those high success rates. If you remove quitting as an option, then the only variable left in the equation is time.
Exactly. And speaking of time, we have to talk about his schedule, because this level of capability requires a heavy investment.
He mentions that during certain stages of his life, his intensive and rigorous practice extended up to 18 hours a day.
18 hours a day, that leaves, what, 6 hours for sleeping and eating?
Basically, yes. It is pure monastic discipline. And even currently in 2026, he says he practices a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day.
Just sharpening the sword.
Just maintaining and sharpening the sword, that is a full-time job in itself.
That is why he is a master and why he has an uncommon ability to heal critical care cases. But it also means he has to be incredibly efficient with the rest of his time. He can't learn everything about the modern world by himself. He needs a network.
Right. Which brings us to his strategy for knowledge curation. The digital circle of five. We have all heard that classic Jim Rohn adage, right? You are the average of the five people you associate with most.
Oh, absolutely. And Osman uses a financial proxy for this to make it tangible. He says, calculate the average income of your five closest friends. That number is very likely your current earning potential.
If they are broke, you're probably broke. If they are highly successful, you are probably doing well.
But here's the practical problem for most of us. I don't know 5 billionaires. I don't think most of our listeners do either. If you look around your living room, you probably aren't seeing Elon Musk or a Zen master hanging out on the couch.
And this is Osman's brilliant hack for the modern age. He says you don't need physical proximity anymore. In 2026, you can curate your circle digitally. You can hang out with billionaires and neuroscientists and spiritual thought leaders while you are driving to work or doing the dishes.
He actually provides us with his personal list, his board of directors, so to speak. And I really want to dig into this because he listens to a lot of different people. For a yogi with 50 years of traditional practice, it is a surprisingly eclectic mix.
It is very deliberate. We identified the podcasts he uses to curate his mind and success. Let's break them down, because he isn't just listening for background noise, he is actively researching.
Let's start with the heavy hitters in the business and mindset space. He lists Tony Robbins first.
Yes, he considers Tony Robbins his mentor and guru. He attends his seminars, both the free and paid courses. Tony is all about mastering your state and peak personal development. For someone who needs to maintain energy for healing, Tony's approach to state management is crucial.
Then he moves to Stephen Bartlett and the Diary of a CEO.
This is a perfect example of Osman bridging the ancient and modern gap. Bartlett extracts insights from top leaders. If we look at specific episodes that align with Osman's philosophy, you see the pattern. First, the episode with Mo Gaudat.
The Solve for Happy guy.
Right. Mo Gaudat was the chief business officer at Google X. He treats happiness as a literal algorithm. He approaches spirituality like an engineer. That fits perfectly with Osman's scientific approach. He isn't looking for vague poetry, he's looking for the code.
Then there is the Diary of a CEO episode with Simon Sinek.
The infinite game concept. This explains Osman's 40-year journey with Kundalini. He isn't playing a finite game to win the quarter. He's playing an infinite game where the goal is mastery for a lifetime.
And the third relevant one from Bartlett's show.
Robert Greene, the author of Mastery. That book is basically the textbook for what Osman is doing. Greene talks about the rigorous apprenticeship phase. Osman's 18-hour practice days are the ultimate embodiment of that apprenticeship.
Okay, so that's the CEO mindset. Then he goes to the School of Hard Knocks with Joe Rogan.
The Joe Rogan Show. Now, Rogan covers everything under the sun, but Osman is likely tuning in for discussions on the extremes of human potential. 3 key episodes come to mind here. First, Naval Ravikant.
Oh, the naval episode is absolutely legendary.
Naval talks about specific knowledge that cannot be taught in traditional schools but can only be learned through genuine curiosity and relentless pursuit. Telepathic quantum healing is the very definition of specific knowledge.
Then there is the David Goggins episode on Rogan.
Callous your mind. Stay hard. This connects directly to Osman's die-trying mantra. Goggins talks about the 40% rule. When your brain says you are completely done, you are really only at 40% of your capacity. Osman lived that rule during his decades of intense practice.
And probably someone like Elon Musk on Rogan as well.
For the sheer scale of thinking, if you are worried about standing out in a global population of 8.44 billion, listening to Musk casually discuss colonizing Mars resets your baseline for what is possible. It dramatically expands the container of your mind.
Okay, so we have business strategy and mental grit. But he is a healer. He needs the hard science too.
That is where Professor Andrew Huberman and the Huberman Lab podcast come in. Osman isn't just relying on mystical feeling. He wants the neurology and ophthalmology and biology.
What are the 3 key takeaways for him from Huberman?
First is neuroplasticity, the scientifically proven idea that you can teach an adult brain new tricks. Osman is actively learning social media algorithms in his later years. That requires serious neuroplasticity. He uses Huberman's protocols to keep his brain malleable.
Second,
Dopamine protocols. Huberman talks extensively about how to maintain motivation and drive without burning out your receptors. When you practice up to 10 hours a day, you have to understand your dopamine reward system or you will simply quit.
and the third Huberman concept.
Trauma and fear processing. Huberman does deep dives into how trauma is biologically stored in the brain and the body. Since Osman treats critical care and recovery, understanding the biological mechanism of trauma right alongside the energetic mechanism, creates an incredibly powerful holistic view.
That makes total sense.
Okay.
He is mapping the modern biology directly onto the ancient energy pathways.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the soul. Because at the end of the day, he is a yogi. He must be listening to spiritual content to stay grounded.
He absolutely is. He specifically references Buddha at the gas pump with Rick Archer. This is a podcast dedicated entirely to interviewing spiritually awakening people.
It's a great title. Who would he be listening to on Rick Archer's show?
Well, given his extensive study of Eastern philosophy, he would definitely tune into the episodes with Swami Sarvapriyananda. He is a prominent monk from the Ramakrishna order.
Which Osman has explicitly studied.
Right. They discuss non-duality or Advaita Vedanta. It provides the deep philosophical bedrock for the idea that we are all fundamentally connected, which completely underpins his use of quantum entanglement in healing.
Who else on Buddha at the gas pump?
Dr. Bonnie Greenwell. She is a transpersonal psychologist who specializes in Kundalini energy. Since Osman spent 40 hard years mastering this force, hearing a modern clinical perspective on the physiological effects of Kundalini is incredibly validating.
And the third?
Probably someone like Bernardo Kastrup, the philosopher, who argues that consciousness is fundamental, that the physical world is just a manifestation of consciousness. That theory allows things like telepathic healing to be viewed as a scientific phenomenon rather than just magic.
He also mentions the Ranveer show, or beer biceps. This is a massive podcast out of India.
It is huge. And it's fascinating because Ranveer bridges the gap between modern youth culture and very ancient wisdom. Osman would be highly interested in the episodes featuring Sadhguru.
Right, because Sadhguru is another mystic who has totally mastered the art of the modern algorithm. He's a highly successful blueprint for what Osman is doing.
Exactly. And Ranveer also interviews scholars like Dr. Vineet Agarwal, who delve deep into ancient Vedic sciences and the historical roots of yoga. For Osman, this is about staying firmly connected to the source code of his tradition, even while operating in the digital world.
And we also have to mention Soul Boom with Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson, yes.
Dwight from The Office. It sounds funny, but Rainn is a deeply thoughtful and spiritual guy.
He really is. Soulboom explores how to make spirituality accessible and practical. Osman would resonate with episodes discussing the spiritual revolution needed in modern society. It is about making the sacred relevant to the person on the street.
And then for the practical daily kick in the pants, he has the Mel Robbins podcast.
The actionable advice. 3 great angles here for Mel Robbins. First, the 5-second rule. It's all about overcoming hesitation and taking action. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Dr. Ramani, who is a frequent guest on Mel's show, she talks extensively about narcissism and navigating toxic relationships. When Osman talks about curating your circle of 5, that essentially requires ruthless boundary setting. You have to know how to identify and remove toxic people from your energy field.
And third,
general episodes on resilience and reinvention. Mel talks a lot about reinventing yourself later in life. Osman is constantly reinventing his approach, going from a traditional meditating yogi to a digital mentor and bioenergy healer on Patreon.
Finally, he lists Lewis Howes and the School of Greatness podcast.
This is where everything synthesizes. He would absolutely be listening to the episodes with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, 100%. Dispenza is the ultimate bridge for this stuff.
Dispenza uses terms like the quantum field and becoming supernatural. He uses modern science to explain the mystical. He is arguably one of the most successful people doing exactly what Osman's mission is.
And Kobe Bryant.
Yes, the famous Mamba mentality episode, the absolute obsession with detail, the 4 in the morning workouts, that is the exact same energy as Osman's 18-hour meditation days.
And lastly, Wim Hof the Iceman.
Wim Hof proved in a clinical setting that the mind can consciously control the autonomic nervous system and the immune response. That completely validates everything Osman claims to do with bioenergy and critical care recovery.
It is such an incredibly curated list. You have Tony Robbins for the state Huberman for the brain navel for the specific knowledge, and then you throw in figures like Yogananda and Swami Vivekananda to keep the spiritual foundation rock solid.
But we also have to mention my absolute favorite inclusion on his list. Michelle J. Raymond.
The B2B LinkedIn expert. It is so grounding. He is listening to Swami Sarvapriyananda lecture on ancient non-duality, and then he immediately cues up Michelle J. Raymond to figure out how to optimize his LinkedIn profile photo.
That right there is the scientific approach in action. You identify a gap in your knowledge, you find the leading expert, you close the gap. It requires deep humility. He is essentially saying, I have the uncommon ability to heal terminal illness with my mind, but I do not know how the LinkedIn algorithm works, so I am going to study it.
It is a beautiful synthesis.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second. Why is he doing all of this? Why is a master healer who achieved samadhi at 19 spending time studying LinkedIn algorithms in 2026?
Because of the stark reality we started with. We are living in a world of 8.44 billion people. The competition for attention is purely mathematical. Osman points out that AI is rapidly taking over traditional work, and social media platforms are seeing 1 billion uploads a day.
1 billion uploads a day. That is a literal tsunami of content.
He argues that you are nothing in 8.44 billion unless you find a way to stand out. He believes there is no middle path anymore. The days of just being average and having a comfortable, secure life are disappearing rapidly. You are either going to be very successful or you're going to fail completely. The middle ground is eroding.
That is a scary thought, but it's also highly motivating.
It is. He says even a spiritual master needs to deeply understand the algorithm to deliver their message today. If you have a method that improves health and peace of mind and relationships and finances, but you can't get anyone to listen to you because you are invisible to the algorithm, does your method even matter?
He actually started studying social media all the way back in 2009. He attends social media examiner summits. He is literally treating the social media algorithm like another complex energy force that he simply has to master.
Exactly. Kundalini energy, well, he mastered that over 40 years. The LinkedIn algorithm, he's working on it now. To him, they're all just systems of energy and information.
So let's talk about what he actually offers.
Yeah.
Because he is very specific about his methodology and his business model. He wants to move completely away from the woo-woo stereotypes.
Right. And his mission is to encourage as many people as possible into a purely scientific approach. He wants a result-based, simplified methodology extracted from the complex ancient yoga and meditation sciences.
He views it as reviving a very ancient and lost science.
Yes, a lost science that could benefit current society tremendously in every aspect: health, peace of mind, social life, and finances, because they are all interconnected.
And his business model reflects this tiered scientific approach. He has the free tier and then the premium tier.
The free tier is extensive. It is his YouTube channel, which you can find under the name The Blind Muslim Yogi. He is very clear that he does not withhold any information on his YouTube channel. He offers extensive, unique advice, direction, and techniques on yoga and meditation entirely for free.
If you have the Mamba mentality and the discipline to do it yourself,
Yeah.
the information's all right there.
Exactly. But then he has the paid premium services. You can go to his website, which is yogawellness786.com. He has a Patreon channel there where you can access paid live daily videos, online lessons, one-to-one consultations, and you can request group sessions or talks.
And then there is the absolute premium service, which is the exclusive energy healing service.
Right. That is exclusively available on a paid platform, and he is very upfront that it is at a premium price.
And he is unapologetic about that price because of what backs it up.
As he should be. The reason his treatments and consultation fees are not inexpensive is because of his very high success rate. Over 90% success over the past 50 years. And remember, he is specializing in critical care and recovery and terminal illnesses.
And you are also paying for the decades of 18-hour days, the rigorous practice that allows him to have that telepathic healing capability.
You aren't paying for a simple 30-minute session. You are paying for the 50 years of relentless study from the Far East, the Middle East, and the West that makes that 30-minute session actually work.
But he includes a very important medical disclaimer that we need to highlight.
Very crucial point. He states clearly that his services are offered on a complementary basis. They are not a replacement for the medical fields.
They are meant to enhance whatever is lacking in other medical treatments, not replace them entirely.
Exactly. He is not telling a patient to cancel their doctor's appointments or stop their prescribed treatments. He is saying, let's add a highly advanced layer of bioenergy science on top of that to maximize your recovery. It is a collaborative, holistic approach.
I really respect that. It shows a level of groundedness you don't always see. And looking at his reported results, saving countless lives and changing outcomes for the better, it is hard to argue with his scientific method. He seamlessly weaves together the teachings of Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi and Ramakrishna with modern quantum entanglement.
So what does this all mean for the listener, for the person driving to work right now who isn't a master bioenergy healer and realistically doesn't plan on meditating for 8 to 10 hours a day?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that mastery is a constantly moving target. We have a man who has hit the absolute peak of his specific field. He achieved samadhi, he has 50 years of practice, and yet he is still the hungriest student in the room.
If a man who has practiced for half a century is still waking up every day to research and learn how to use digital platforms to share his gift, then none of us have any excuse to stop learning today.
Exactly. And then there's the concept of the digital circle of five. You might feel isolated in your physical environment. You might feel like the people around you just complain or settle for average.
But you have a device in your pocket that can instantly connect you to the greatest minds in the world. You can have Tony Robbins in one ear and Andrew Huberman in the other.
So here is our actionable advice for you today. We want you to audit your circle of five right now.
Open your podcast app. Look at your recently played list. Who is currently in your ears? Are they feeding your fears, or are they challenging you to be better? Are they teaching you specific knowledge about business and science and the soul?
If your circle needs a serious upgrade, we highly suggest searching for his podcast. You can find him on Apple Podcasts and Spotify by searching for the channel name The Blind Muslim Yogi. Add Osman to your digital circle.
He is the perfect example of bridging the gap. Ancient wisdom combined with modern algorithmic hustle. And if you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, remember to hit follow on his channel.
And definitely check out his website, yogawellness786.com, if you want to dive deeper into his specific techniques or inquire about his consultations.
But remember that final warning he gave about the middle path?
Yeah, that thought really hit me hard.
Osman stated clearly that AI and exponential population growth have essentially eliminated the middle ground. Mediocrity is becoming downright dangerous in 2026.
So here is the provocative thought we want to leave you with to mull over. If mediocrity is no longer a viable option to survive, what is the one skill you are currently treating like a casual hobby that you need to start treating like a master-level discipline?
Is it your physical health? Is it your financial literacy, your coding skills, your meditation practice?
Pick one, find your gap in knowledge, and start sharpening the sword.
Every single day.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you next time.